Joe Biden's team has gone to being dishonest. I don't know if it's a lie. I don't know if it's incompetence. On talking about Medicare for all. His plan, which would literally, at least based on estimates, kill 125,000 people over the context of 10 years, that's based on his own numbers, is trying to take a plug out of Medicare for all. I want to talk about the problems with what Biden is saying. And I want to give an answer to it. This video will be short. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is Soapbox After Dark. Welcome to the channel. So Joe Biden, this is just a video short of sorts. It's almost like a policing Biden. He has his messaging. It's a noble idea. The people in the race mean well. Meaning, I don't want to be confrontational to the people who are in the race. I don't want to be confrontational. However, there are problems with their nonsense. That's his political messaging. Ultimately, he's saying it's a noble idea. However, and then the problem is the however. It's the problem. Joe Biden says Medicare for all is a noble idea, but warns it threatens rural hospitals because Medicare reimbursement rates are just too low for these hospitals to keep their doors open. Now, if you give me an argument that is somewhat subjective, if you're like, I think capitalism is the best thing on the planet. All right, calm down, fair enough. I can't argue with that because that's your perspective of, your biases, the thing that you prefer versus not prefer. There may be things that you may be less aware of or whatever, but they're biases. But the moment that you give me something concrete that I can kind of tether that to, I can make a determination on whether or not you're telling the truth or not. And this is one of those things where you're not being truthful. There are a few points. One, a study that took place showed that Obamacare actually kept rural hospitals open, meaning the states that participated in the Medicaid expansion, AID expansion, essentially those rural hospitals were able to stay open because many of those areas had people who were uninsured. And the moment that those people got insurance, those hospitals were being reimbursed. Whereas before, they were not. Rural hospitals were able to be kept open by the expansion of Medicaid. I just wanted to be clear. And I'll read here. A new study suggests that Medicaid expansion helped hospitals in rural areas keep their doors open, but will this be enough going forward? The Affordable Care Act, Medicaid expansion drove down the uninsured rate in the United States. Now, a new study suggests that the expansion boosted the financial health of many hospitals that serve high numbers in uninsured areas, especially in rural areas. So what is Joe Biden talking about? And just so we're very clear, Medicare rates pay more than Medicaid. And Medicaid was literally the thing that kept those hospitals open. There's that point. The second point, those rates are not set by God. Medicare rates, those rates are not imposed by some divine being of sorts. Those rates are set by Congress. They can choose. And I suspect that a Congress that passes Medicare for all will probably have to do something with the rates, seeing as that will be the prevailing wind going forward. But this is fear-mongering. And this is not being truthful fear-mongering at that. Joe Biden doesn't know if there's going to be a rural closing of hospitals and all this other stuff. And again, it's odd. In fact, if there's a tweet, I don't want to steal somebody's tweet. I'm stealing somebody's tweet. Right here. Alex Chequez. This is a lie, and a weird one from Joe Biden. Medicaid expansion in the ACA demonstratively saved rural hospitals in expansion states. Medicare rates pay more than Medicaid rates. So there's that. And then he goes on later and says, and by the way, those rates are set by Congress. If you had the political will to pass a Medicare for all, think of what we're saying. If you have the political will to pass a Medicare for all, are you going to leave out the tidbit with ensuring that the hospitals don't close down? I imagine if you have that much political capital where you can pass a Medicare for all, you would have your say-so in regards to civil rights. So, yeah, that's fear-mongering. And that's fear-mongering that's not truthful. Now, the question is, did Biden not know? Or did Biden just lie? Yeah, I'm slapping this stuff down because I think Medicare for all. Look, I deal with people every other day that have medical issues. I'm the kid that was 17 years old and had to look across from me at one of my clinics and seeing a woman who was blind, who was a diabetic, missing legs. Now, people, when I was growing up, they would be like, "You're not bitter, you're not bitter, you're not angry." And I think that's an odd thing to ask somebody. You're not bitter. If I said yes, then what? You've heard me on the show say I was bitter about certain things, like people piss me over or something like that. I was like, people never admit to being bitter. I'll admit to being bitter when I'm bitter. But no, that wasn't a scenario. That kind of brings things into perspective pretty quick. Because however pissed off I am at that particular moment, that woman's situation is infinitely worse. I don't know that woman's medical situation. I do know she was experiencing dementia. I would imagine she has a family that cares about her. I would imagine the fact that she can't care for herself means a family has to care for her and has to deal with the medical bills associated with that woman being in that particular situation. And I would imagine she has Medicare and Medicaid, but there are a lot of people who are ill who don't have those things. And even if she just had one, there's still 20% left of bills. I guarantee you, if you get ill once, you can rack up a huge amount of debt with that 80% thing. I guess I'm making the point that having insurance is not the end-all be-all. The goal of it shouldn't necessarily be to just stick somebody in the insurance company. The goal of it should be healthcare. That individual working with their doctor. The insurance company is the conduit between those two things, but it's an unnecessary conduit. There are leeches into the system itself. And there are leeches that rip out a huge amount of the profits. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. You don't need them. You don't need them. Medicare does it. It does it for far, far cheaper. Think of it, it's like Medicare's overhead was like 2%, as opposed to their, trying to get their millions of dollars, just gorging their profits, getting rich off of your breaks and your cancers. All right. I'm not going to keep this. I just wanted to nail that. Balthazar, all of this fear-mongering over Bernie's plan is pointless. His plan isn't even the best version out there. Jay Paul's ends private and rolls out in 2 years. There's that. It's like Sanders is not even the furthest to the left in regards to the plans that he's putting out. So fair enough. Fair enough, Balthazar. And what's the other one? Those are Streamlabs. And the last one is no more Mr. Touchy. I just want someone to come out and say, yes, I do want to end private healthcare in the United States. They're ineffective, inefficient, and profit-driven against providing healthcare. Yes. They had their chance. They fucked over the U.S. population every turn. Yes. Well, Sanders said that. Well, he kind of said that. I mean, just based on, if I am not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, based on the way the law is written, if something is being provided by Medicare, I guess insurance can't provide a secondary service on top of it or something like that. Tulsi Gabbard was talking about that as somewhat of a sheepish way of edging out insurance companies from the market. All of those things are true. And if I'm not mistaken, I just said that. And Sanders has been on Twitter saying when somebody says he wants to end private healthcare, he was like, damn right. So he's there. He's there. And by the way, I was talking to my wife at one point. I was like, if they didn't fuck people over, this wouldn't have happened. Like, the reaping of the whirlwind to some degree is a result of them gouging the shit out of people for being sick. Like, all of the money that they take out of it. Think of the amount of money. When I was abroad and I had to get pain meds because my prescription ran out by the time, I was traveling. And I'm thinking, God, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. Pennies to the dollar. Pennies to the dollar in the other countries. it's hard to get it across to Americans sometimes. Because there's a certain perspective in this country that is specific to this country. But it should not be. States. Do you know the philosophy behind states to some degree? This notion that states being laboratories. Like each state would be able to kind of do its own thing. And in doing its own thing, yes, it's under the federal government. But there would be kind of experimental grounds of sorts. And so policies that are beneficial in one state can get migrated into other areas of the country. Now, this sounds good in principle, but a southern state, has a hard time pulling in that type of stuff, depending on the Republican governor and that type of stuff. But nevertheless, that's the philosophy behind it. But if that's true for states, the same thing should be true for countries. If you have something in another country that does something better than your country, then maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not a patriotism thing. It's a how can you provide health care to everybody in the country for the cheapest price? How can you get the best bang for your buck? And I'm sorry, a profit-driven system where their goal is to maximize their profit at the expense of your illness, your cancer, your AIDS, your kidney failure, your whatever. Do you realize my wife was ill the other day, for, I think it was like last month or so. And she goes to the doctor, and the doctor hits her with a bill. The doctor says, okay, we're going to have to do a procedure. And there's a misunderstanding in what he was doing the procedure for. And she ends up getting a bill without knowing anything new in the process. Now, at that point, what does she say? She says, well, fuck it, I'm not going anymore. I'm done. I'm not going, and I'm going to get bills like this. My wife is not atypical in this process. I guarantee you that all throughout the country, there are people who forego getting health care. And guess what? By the time they actually do go, it's something serious. It's something major. Meaning something that your society could have dealt with at an earlier stage if it would have just invested in goddamn health care. You're now paying more for it because those people decided, I'm not touching it. And by the way, you can't blame them because maybe they didn't have the money to pay for it or wanted the bill associated with it. This democratic nonsense of, well, we just want to make sure everybody can get health care. It's not the fact if everybody can get health care. Any random person can walk into ER. The issue is, what is the disincentive of the individual in that process? The disincentive is the bill. I'm not going to get checked out if I got to get this bill and I can't afford to pay that bill. And when you have the majority of the population that can't pay a $500 bill, many of those people forego treatment. And it gets worse. It festers. It's fucking lunacy that this country behaves in this way. And it turns into this kind of political thing. Joe Biden is trying to burn Medicare for all in order to get into office. And he is going to do this by hook or by crook. He's going to lie, cheat, steal, whatever he can. And in this case, he has resorted to lying through his teeth. Either Joe Biden doesn't know, Joe Biden is incompetent if he doesn't know, seeing as he was part of the Medicare for All thing. Not Medicare for All, I'm sorry. The Affordable Care Act. I would imagine that he would know the provisions of the Medicare for All Act. And if he doesn't, that's a little problematic in and of itself. And do you want a president who literally was vice president beside the guy that passed Obamacare and doesn't know the provisions? He's talking about Obamacare 2.0. Just saying. He's either lying or incompetent. I'll let you be the deciding factor in which one of those things he is. Krillin 876. It's not just the profit, admin costs. That's the other part. Like, think of all of the administrators that are in that process. Medicare for All is a singular thing. It can bring down costs just by the administration in and of itself. Yeah, that's a good point, Krillin. Thank you. Fucking A. Audience on the ball. Alright, I'm going to end this because I am dead tired. It's late. I haven't even eaten. I'm about to smoke a fat pipe, do a 420 J. Oh, God. I can't do it, man. I'm dead tired. This has been a treatment day. And I wouldn't even be here doing videos if it wasn't for the Kelly interview. So, alright. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Oh, by the way, the UFO thing, the raid on Area 51. So, again, exactly what I said. My political acumen is like on point. It's on ball. So, I said, A, Boris Johnson is going to have to call an election. Whoever became prime minister. Bam. exactly what took place. I there's other stuff that I've called that I've been on the money recently, but I initially kind of made the point that what that guy probably was doing was just kind of fucking around, and then it probably became something real the more people got involved in the process, and that is exactly what took place. He's finally come out of wherever he was, and he's made the point. He's like, I was just kind of dicking around, but at the point where I have 1 million people involved in this process, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this. Now, the interesting part here is that the intelligence service was the Air 51. The people in the Air Force came out and said, "We will shoot you. We will murder you. Don't try us. We will murder you." What do you mean, rest of a piece of Streamlabs? Balthazar, what are you talking about? It says, "No more Mr. Touchy." That was the last one. Kills for a living. Jamal, these candidate media, and all of these are Streamlabs. Balthazar, all these are Streamlabs. I shit you not. Jamal, these candidate media have millions of dollars, staff, researchers, everything needed to understand anything in every detail. Stop giving these people the benefit of the doubt. They know. They don't give a damn about you. Oh, I don't think they give a damn about me. I have no illusions about that at all. But I don't know that as a flat fact. I don't know that. I can't pretend like I know that. That's not something I know. But I agree with you in general. I do agree with you in general. Balthazar, all of these are Streamlabs. Like, all of the kills for the last 3 that I read were Streamlabs. I shit you not. I shit you not. Oh, MB. Indiana here. What's happening? Don't hooligan? Alright, I'm going to end this. I'm dead tired. I'm going to get something to eat. Alright, guys. You'll have a good one. Like, share, subscribe, support PayPal and Patreon if you really love it. Even $1 helps because they demonetize these videos all the time. And if you all have a good night. Thanks all.